hadn't done it in a few years. It's kind of a fun shoot. Yeah. Kids are all together. You just grab them presents. It's wonderful. Yeah.
For everyone, literally.
It's bigger than I remember in the past. It was like tons of. It was like 2 busloads of kids.
Oh wow, that's pretty big.
I guess they're all volunteers, like the police officers. You know, it's like more than that. Really, it seemed like 60 or 70. We took over that store. It was just every corner, every aisle. It was just like a police officer. I think it was a ghost sign. I had just taken it off.
Okay. Just in that area, if you benefit Now use it.
Wasn't even real.
No, you can sit in.
Okay.
Give it
Yeah.
And then I'll lose.
Okay, never
You
mind.
lose it again?
Well, no, I was,
Oh, man.
no, I was only gonna sit on it so I could type my laptop.
Every time I would ask, I got the.
I can type on my phone.
Yeah, watch it.
Yeah.
You need to like negotiate. You shouldn't lose. That's crazy.
It's just too small, you're like,
I've seen people who have like plugins to portable, I'm sorry, that's their best word on, but find it all types of ways to be creative.
I saw
13.
that there was a TV there. Bomb cyclone.
but it's just might yourself. And so even now,
Yeah, and you tried and then you're like, yeah.
For 21 because it's not even a real.
No, I know, yeah,
It's a made up name.
It,
like otter and just.
Danny's in
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Sometimes it gets it kind of off.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but the Soviet.
yeah, like names especially, but it still saves a lot of time.
Yeah, and it shows me exactly how much I don't pronunciate, because I'll say house, and it'd be like house, I'm like, no,
Yeah.
house. Changing things around, it's like, okay,
I worked in Des Moines prior to working here, and when we were having all of the governors, the Iowa Governors COVID press conferences, our like chief pediatrician, his name was Dr. Dottie. It was so funny how AI would go and see Dr. Dottie, like, just all these different something. Yeah.
Nobody really.
1441.
Oh, yeah, it saves a lot of time.
For some reason, yeah. Having that, you can go back and just.
Quoting,
Especially in real time when I'm trying to tweet out stuff and I'm like listening and too much at once, then I can go back and see, okay, this is what she just
they
said.
had been
Yeah,
doing, even before you were, they'd been doing literally the fronts that would come through, it was just a promotional shtick for the jail.
Sorry, tasks are definitely.
Right, no, but at the same time, you have.
I just stick a little four pastors.
Yeah, no,
Like
definitely.
every day.
I'll get like 4 A's, like 2
I don't have it, I don't even have Google. No, trust me.
I don't think I would even be, I'm just so used to it. Since I got my license, I've been able to plug maps into my phone and stuff, so, like, I'm directionally challenged, because I've never had to, you know.
when I started interpreting, we carried the big map scope, and we had to, okay, that's where we're going, all right.
Key maps.
Yeah, well, ours is the map scope. Yeah, and get one every 2 years or whatever. Built in whatever, so,
You know, back home. Yes. Show phones, we had beepers.
I was telling somebody, my first pager was literally a beeper, that it just beeped. You had to go to a payphone and call a number and get your message. And you're like, okay, that's a call.
That's.
So you always had to have 2 quarters, one to check your message and then one to
But
call the person
payphones
back.
were everywhere.
Yeah.
So we would, oh, we have to call the station.
Whip into a gas station or an HEB real quick. We always kept quarters, so you could.
Deadlines.
It was too long. It would hit me, somehow.
Somehow. Well, they're
My mom's house is already built. That's not her.
level more expectations, I think being so instant, so, I mean, you know, we have to get everything up on our website first.
The expectation is that. That's right, within a minute, six, a problem with myself sometimes. It's all intimidation.
Well, they talk about information transfer globally and how it used to write a letter, send a ship, go, and it was just months to really have a conversation. Now,
I only bought 25
So
cents.
back and forth.
worldwide, the information transfer is immediate.
And somehow we don't
And we don't know as much. Like, people don't retain the knowledge because and there's so much to retain.
Well, that's good because like, where we're like, there's a law right up front, so like, go ahead and hurt out and start. I'm like, where I'm gonna be.
or you would have to go with.
They are mean.
Yeah. No, the doctora guys take like that. And nowadays, they're just so much in respect. I mean, go ahead.
That's cool.
They come after you.
Yeah, they headbutt you.
Yes.
They headbutt you. Tough balls. Like I bruised them on my leg. It's like letting it
Is
go.
there math? Everybody just draw their
Early
deodorant.
up to the shop. They're just like the tiny, tiny
Or it's particularly got
But you
toll
would think that by
gas
now.
for
It's how they
Texas
fly.
and
I'll say this, they stay down there.
it's like Texas, and then all of a sudden, that burgundy
Let
just
them out.
comes
I
out.
know, so at the end of the day.
I'd say A&M, but
Especially
A&M 's not gonna go
actually
over
having
to ring the
a
bell
camera
while
on the
trading
ground,
back.
and there's something to be said about being in the room.
Was there predictions for the recruiting day? Today's signing
You
day.
know, so much different.
Maybe it's
Read the
TCU.
That's my next
Because
thing.
that's why A&M go down, they broke the piggyback and started buying
Exactly.
players like,
You can't replace that.
yeah.
As for me, no.
You're ready?
Because there's no need for me to be there most of the time.
That's true.
But like.
Wait, what?
Person
Yeah, I know.
would be different. They would have me, okay, come back to the ACC and.
They already
do
are.
this. I would get in the auditorium and they would have us all.
It's
spread
close.
out
It's
16
close.
bars, and they would have me on a laptop. And I'm like, I still could have done this with my arch. I got double
Do
screen.
you translation in real time, or?
Yep.
you
Well,
can
it's
send
a-
an email?
Yeah, yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's just an age range.
Yeah, I mean.
And
it's
quarterback,
really
the quarterback that
like
Ole Miss had committed for
Maybe a
school.
three, put us in a box.
Yeah.
So they would have us in 7 days all together. They would just slowly throw us in a box, wherever they wanted to
Dropped
go.
a bunch of money, and then Ole Miss apparently
So that's
responded by dropping
Remember, I
a
can
ton
do
of
it.
money for a.
instead of.
They can do it from the house.
Pay
Sound
over
like-
side, it's,
I got double monitors, I got live.
And it's just, you know, it's, you know, I'm all for the NIL, the kids should be able to make money on their names.
Yeah, I do a
This
lot
is
of
not
videos
what the
for it.
NIL intended, this is, you know, now you've got
Take
boosters that
vacation,
are,
but
that, you know, like the
No, I mean,
dark, shadowy back then, back in SMU days are now out in the open, and they're just openly just, here's the checkbook, you know, I will be my spokesperson for my paycheck, as long as you're not gonna give me things.
I haven't touched my face.
You know, we'll use your image, but here's a check for $1.5 million.
everybody complains, start to complicated after 9 o'clock.
You know, in Texas, and I think they were one of the first announcing that, you know, they were, all their offensive linemen were gonna get a flat $50,000
And mine's just, I have like
each.
foundation, plumbing, and a little bit of
What
electrical.
NIL is
And
supposed
my
to
cell
do.
phone's like in my mom's room. This is all like supply chain
I
issues.
don't know if college football survives this without any kind of major change.
Well, yes and no. Early on, you will, but when
Wow,
you start
the video.
creating, what you usually sell it right back to them. So.
Where is
My
it?
mom's.
It's probably
for about
Minneapolis
3 years. Me and my
or
mom,
Milwaukee.
she's only spending like $27 a month. Yeah. And she has a pretty good.
See, it's so cold, they had to use those special knives to go cut through it all.
Camper,
I wonder if
wood
we-
panels,
are your
that she has split. The toilets
And
are-
I saw somebody's out there right now, and it's already hammered.
She has like a 2.5.
Yes, it does.
Yellow?
Somebody, it wasn't one of our state, What is today? It wasn't our station. Wednesday. Boy, you're at a time where
Pretty nice. It's perfect for her.
That's my sister.
But we just, like those little things cost a lot. Just to raise the
Maybe
toilets.
they'll be forced to.
The blind is worse? From where?
I think it was legal for 10.
He'll be fine. He'll be fine.
It's all the people from the Midwest and Northeast.
People coming where they go. Or if you're heading north or northeast, you're
Like
probably.
when-
Yeah, but then it starts having a trickle effect, you know what I mean? Because they all get delayed and.
Oh, yeah.
You
It's
know.
dominoes, man. It's like so many of our flights go out of Dallas. So Dallas gets hammered for whatever reason. This event.
Cabinets full of. That's pretty, I mean, just even the flight facility.
I expect no congestion between my upstairs bedroom. Maybe one of the cats. I intentionally avoided that grid loss by not having upstairs. I went and got my, I have one of those things where it covers for your outdoor faucets. The cat one. Back in the summer, in working in a cleanup garage, I put this in place, and I could find it. And I could not No, I refused to. I got one last night, and I tore the garage apart, and I finally found a wedge backing up a cabinet, because where I looked earlier, you couldn't see them, but there was just so much stuff that had been wedged in there since then. Because my daughters have been moving and all that, and my garage has become a storage unit. So many times I've cleaned it up, storage unit, cleaned it up, storage unit.
That's where the house.
Well, I found everything.
Yeah. Did you guys do a swear on that?
Got my caps on.
Yeah.
I'm lucky I just had two outside bosses. So the only other thing I gotta do now tonight is I've got a neat little water fountain, outdoor water fountain that
Can she
metal
walk around or she?
bowl,
No, she's in.
and there's a pump that goes up into two crows, and the crows spit out water.
It drains.
I'm gonna drain it, yeah, fine. Because I don't want the pump to crack. Oh, yeah, it, you know, it's, it needs. Frozen crows. I love my crows. I'm not frozen. You good daiquiri drink. I'm not a frozen crow, please. You lie.
Maybe that was too many words.
Oh, you're the interpreter? Oh, okay, great, sorry. I was grabbing it for you.
Don't take my
I just got it. Sorry.
Mind being in
When
the
you
shop?
may come in, just.
Yeah.
Come back here?
Yeah, I'm gonna come back in the morning.
Yeah, we've been there. You don't want to put Rudy in the corner.
Oh, I'll just do this one right here.
I think it's all wrong. After the holiday.
Y entonces me toca subir las escaleras para mi. ¿Me puedes poner lo que veo? Oh, shit. Okay, no me pongas mi headlight, I'll tomar this. Pero no me pongas mi headlight porque no la hago. Okay. Okay, come on.
Yeah. Get a little further back. Yeah. If he sits in front of your sticks, is that all right with you?
Yeah, I don't want to I need to see that.
Okay.
But yeah, he's like right from that. Like she was.
Are you able to get to the press box and just turn it off 1 second?
collaboratively and around the clock to be able to fully and robustly respond to the extraordinarily cold weather that's coming to and through the state of Texas over the next couple of days. We're here to let the public know about exactly what the state is doing to make sure that the state as well as local communities are prepared to deal with this. Moments ago, we just concluded a phone call with leaders from locations across the entire state of Texas to make sure that at the local level, all of these leaders are going to have access to anything they need from the state of Texas to assist them in dealing with this harsh weather that's coming in. One good thing about the weather this particular time, and that is we do not expect very much precipitation, whether it be snow or ice or anything like that, that will complicate roadways or living conditions. There could be some in the northern part of the state for a day or two at most, but for the most part, we should have sunshine through most of this cold weather episode. One thing that we do know, and that is with the ultra cold temperature for several days, there are many people in the state of Texas that are wondering about or may be concerned about the power grid. And we want to make sure that everybody across the entire state of Texas hears directly from the head of the Public Utilities Commission as well as the head of ERCOT to know exactly the way that both the PUC and ERCOT are prepared to make sure that the power grid will remain up and running very robustly during this very cold snap. And in that regard, I will turn matters over to the chair of the Public Utilities Commission at this time to tell you more about what they have done and will be doing to make sure that the power stays on.
Thank you, Governor. The grid is ready and reliable. We expect to have sufficient generation to meet demand throughout this entire winter weather event. Texans have seen the impact of the landmark reforms. We went through an extremely cold February last winter and a record-breaking summer and delivered power throughout without disruption. These landmark reforms include winterization of infrastructure, both generators and poles and wires. We have more power available than ever before. We've got more backup fuel, and we've mapped the critical interactions between the natural gas system and our power generators. We will call on our industrial demand response before we ask homes to conserve power, and we will continue the consistent communication between our partner agencies, including the Railroad Commission, TxDOT, and of course ERCOT. All of these reforms are about prioritizing people over profits. Above and beyond the new reforms and regulations that have been put in place, additional efforts have been made for this specific winter weather event. Our poles and wires companies have mobile generators ready to go. They've rescheduled maintenance to make sure their wires are available. And generators have also rescheduled maintenance to make sure that every generator available in Texas is ready to go. We've verified additional fuel inventories, increased staffing at power plants, and verified the winterization requirements. I do want to remind folks that we will have high winds that could bring down branches, and even if there are some localized power outages due to falling branches, that does not mean that ERCOT or the state does not have sufficient generation. As always, stay in communication with your local power providers and local leaderships, and they will keep you up to date on local issues like that. The grid today is reliable, but our state's growth means that we need to plan for the grid of the future. Our reliability reforms are working, but it's not a permanent fix. Our growth means that we have the equivalent of a new Corpus Christi added to our grid every year. The on-demand generation we have today is reliable, but we need more of it. And that's why we're focused on continuing reforms that incentivizes more on-demand generation and prioritizes reliability and affordability. The future of Texas is bright, but we need to make sure it stays powered. We'll continue to monitor this extreme cold weather event. PUC staff will be available for the State Operations Center if needed, and we'll stay in close contact with all the relevant state agencies. Thank you.
Thank you. And now the head of ERCOT.
Thank you, Governor. So ERCOT continues to monitor and prepare for this week's cold weather. Our staff are working around the clock 24/7 to ensure that we'll continue to deliver reliable service to all Texans. And as noted by the chairman, we do expect to have sufficient generation supply to meet the forecasted demands. Earlier this morning, we issued a watch, which is our highest level of preparation and readiness for the extreme cold weather that we're expecting, in order to make sure that all market participants are prepared for the conditions that we're expecting. By issuing a watch, it ensures that we have all of the tools in our toolbox available to deal with the service demand. Our current load forecast shows the high expected electric demands during the period from Thursday evening through Saturday morning. The highest demands during this period we expect are going to occur on Friday morning. We expect that to hit near 70,000 megawatts. With all of the available resources performing as planned, we are forecasting to have near 85,000 megawatts of supply available to meet that demand, with wind and solar during those peaks making up around 12,000 megawatts of that. ERCOT has completed over 200 weatherization inspections to date of generation facilities. They're going very well. We're going to continue to inspect over the course of this winter over half of all of the generating facilities across the ERCOT footprint. And last winter, we inspected a full third of all the generating facilities across ERCOT. So we continue to expect adequate supply along with the reserves necessary for the cold weather that's already arrived in North Texas and is starting to continue to spread across the state. We'll continue to monitor conditions and we'll keep you informed as any conditions change.
Very good. Now the person who will be in charge of leading the effort in responding to the winter storm is the head of the Texas Division of Emergency Management, NIMKID.
Thank you, Governor. This is a dangerous storm coming our way. The temperatures will be extremely cold and the winds will be high, which will generate some very dangerous wind chills. Many of our local partners have already begun plans and opening of warming centers at the local level. The website here in front of you, tdem.texas.gov/warm, will have those warming centers posted for the public to see as soon as they become open by our local partners. As you've heard, the grid is good, but that should not stop you from making plans to protect your home from these dangerous weather conditions and have your vehicles ready as well for these dangerous conditions. We've heard that the precipitation is not in the forecast and it's very light in the panhandle, so the rest of the state should stay dry. But listen, any flat tire, any bad battery problems and stuck out in this dangerous cold can be life-threatening. So please make plans to prepare your vehicles and your homes. I want to send an extreme amount of gratitude out to our first responders, our 911 call takers, our utility workers, all of the men and women from TxDOT that are going to be out there on the roads and our local public works, not only working through this winter storm, but working through the holidays away from their families. We owe them an enormous debt of gratitude. You've heard the wind chills are going to be crazy. I mean, minus 10 degrees is the wind chill in the Dallas-Fort Worth area is what it's expected, and maybe up to minus 30 in the Panhandle. Those are life-threatening conditions. And when we're talking about these life-threatening conditions, carbon monoxide is the #1 killer in times like this. Please help us get the message out. These are preventable deaths. Do not burn wood or gas-burning appliances inside your home without proper ventilation. There should be no carbon monoxide deaths. Help us get that message out. Thank you, Governor.
One last thing, and that is that these harsh, cold temperatures can pose serious problems for the homes or apartments that people live in. I'd like you to explain more about what people can and should do to make sure that they are able to protect their property.
Thank you, Governor. We always talk about the 4 Ps, the people, the pets, the pipes, and the plants. If you have the ability now to go out and continue, and I was out yesterday and I saw this preparing my home, going out and buying all of the insulating supplies for your outdoor faucets. Let's take the time to do that today. Also, it's a good idea to know where your water valve shutoff is for your home or your apartment. If you can go pre-plan that today and know where it is, if the temperatures do get so cold that your uninsulated pipes on your home or apartment or house are broken, you're going to want to know where to go turn that off. So take time to plan that now. Obviously, bring your pets indoors if you can, protect all your plants, but the people and the pets are very important to us. And again, the local warming centers are doing a great job of helping make sure that people that are out on the streets have a warm, safe place to go.
Very good. We'll take a few questions.
Governor, I know that people, of course, are going to have dangerous wind chills and other things, but without the precipitation and some things, it kind of seems like it's less maybe of a threat than it was. Yet people seem to be very paranoid about this and worried. Do you feel like there's the trust that's needed in the system, or do you feel like it's just not there?
Well, I think trust has to be earned. And we earned that trust in part by going through this past summer with 11 new all-time records for power demand and being able to meet that power demand with ease. I think trust will be earned over the next few days as people see that we have ultra cold temperatures and the grid is going to be able to perform with ease. And so trust has to be earned back over a period of time. And I think that we will show that we can earn that trust.
Are there going to be enough staff working during the holiday in case of major issues on the roads or with down power lines and whatnot?
Texas is open 24/7, and staff has to be available and will be available 24/7. Whatever challenge may arise, we will have staff available to meet that challenge.
John, do you have time for a quick question on what's going on in El Paso?
I do. Happy to answer it, but if you don't mind, if there's anything else concerning the winter storm, let me take the, go ahead.
I had a question about the wind speed on Friday. Was that a wind generation question, or was that a wind chill question?
It was a wind generation. We wanted to make sure that we were going to have adequate wind generation capacity that would be adding to the power grid.
Do you think we will? I heard that it was going to be under 20. Is that going to be adequate?
Yeah.
Should be asking Chairman Lake.
Probably ask the experts, both Chairman Lake as well as Pablo, the head of ERCOT.
Are you confident?
Well, no, hold a second. I'm going to let them answer the question. I'll come back to you.
Yes, we expect to have adequate generation of all forms, including wind, throughout the high wind phase of Friday. And even as the wind tapers off after the front moves through, we expect to have adequate generation, even with the drop in wind on Saturday and Sunday.
Some turbines froze up 2 years ago. Did they freeze up again?
I do not anticipate that. The lack of precipitation means that we expect to have those turbines turning, but that is a vulnerability of wind generation.
The only thing I'd add is that we're assuming a very conservative wind forecast as it is. So we're not, during the lowest peak periods of wind, which is going to be throughout the day on Friday and over the night Saturday, we're not expecting a lot of wind in our forecast already. And so our reserves in our forecast already anticipate that.
As far as the shelters here in the Austin area, what type of shelters are they? How are they going to be run? When do they start opening? What are the details on that? And then just kind of a second part for the ERCOT after this, if you don't mind. You mentioned the capacity was 85,000 this time. What was it back in 2021 when we had the winter storm?
Yep, so the first part about the shelters is cities and counties are responsible for opening their local shelters. We will support them if we get resource requests for cots or additional staffing. So far, we don't have any of those requests. And we'll continue to update the list on our website so that everybody can know where those shelters are, when they open, and what capacity they have.
Back in 2021, the issue that came up and the reason why there was the need for load shed events was that the expected capacity was not able to perform as planned. And so what is significantly and meaningfully different this year than last year is the fact that the weatherization work that's been done, the additional procurement of fuel supplies to ensure that we've got adequate storage, the weatherization on the natural gas pipeline system, all of those factors would lead to those dispatchable generation resources being available. So the numbers, I mean, there was more than 20,000 megawatts lost of dispatchable generation during that time. And so what we're expecting and planning for this time includes having all of those facilities running and they're ready to run.
Jeremy?
I was going to ask about that gas supply that you were just talking about. How confident are we that the weatherization efforts in those areas will get that gas to the market?
Well, first, and I'm going to have them answer, but I will tell you, part of what they're going to tell you is that we have extra gas supply available because of what the new mandates are, but also because of the weatherization and protection of the critical infrastructure. All those things combined will ensure that the gas supply will be available. That said, I'll have both the PUC and ERCOT respond to your question.
Echo everything the governor said. Specifically, we have a new firm fuel product that provides market incentives for our generators to procure extra backup fuel. That's in place for the first time ever this winter. In addition, we now have better critical infrastructure designations on processing plants and compressor pumps for gas facilities, so that the problem experienced in 2021 of losing pressure in the lines because of loss of electricity that led to power plants losing gas won't occur. This has all been designated critical. It won't lose electricity, and so the gas will continue to flow. And finally, we're working through Turk to have and maintain better communication with the Railroad Commission and both the power generation and natural gas industry than we've ever had before. And we saw the benefits of that enhanced communication last winter.
you have anything to add?
No, that covered it fully. Thank you, Governor.
I want to break it down for you real quick, get wonky a little bit, and help you understand. There are three primary different stages along this process. There's the power generators, and both because they are winterized and because they have multiple sources of fuel to last them at least several days during this cold snap. Regardless of what may happen in other parts of this whole process, the generators themselves should have enough fuel to make sure that the power stays on. Before the fuel gets to the generators, especially through natural gas, it comes through pipelines. The pipelines are fully winterized and have what's necessary to make sure that there will be no inadequacy of natural gas flowing through the pipelines. Before it gets into the pipeline, it goes through gatherers and processors. And the gatherers and processors have been contacted, at least the primary ones, across the entire state of Texas to make sure that they're using measures like using methanol to prevent freezing and other standards to prevent freezing to make sure that adequate natural gas coming out of the ground will be gathered, processed, and make it into the pipelines. It's completely different than it was 2 years ago.
Two more questions?
Mr. Vegas, in regards to the natural gas flow, there's concern that some generators may try to take advantage of the load and to hold back and to wait till we hit that $5,000 cap. What are we going to do to manage and prevent any type of gouging by electric providers during this cold spell?
Yeah, we're operating the system and expect through the practices that have been set up over the last winter to have good faith practices executed across the industry. We're not expecting any kind of gouging or anything along those lines. And in fact, we've already has been working with the generators who are working in turn with their suppliers to ensure that the commitments for generation are being made in advance. So we're already seeing those commitments being made in advance of any changes to any of the price forecast on the road.
Can I get the multiple question?
Yeah, you're going to get your question.
Additionally, the market monitor has the authority and the ability to investigate any suspected price gouging or market manipulation, and they will, to make sure that the market operates as it should and with integrity.
Last question.
Thank you. As we see going on with the migrant crisis in El Paso, National Guard troops putting in concertina wire and other such things, has that been effective? Because we've seen some TV reports saying that they were just moving down the road a little bit. And then the second part of that question is the truck inspection order back in place down there? So
with regard to the first part of the question, so yesterday was really day one of what's going to be a multi-day series of actions taken by the National Guard, where they were putting up more elements of what will constitute a blockade to make sure that the people who were crossing into El Paso should be blockaded. It's going to take several days to fully implement those measures. And then, I'm sorry, your second question?
There were some reports that trucks were being backed out along the border. Did you order inspections?
So that's all run by the Texas Department of Public Safety. And they have a right and the ability to do these inspections. And they have found through these inspections that there were vehicles that were not safe for the roads. It could have posed dangers to Texans. And there were other flaws they found either with regard to drivers or vehicles.
So that's SOP. That's not like
That's all subject to and led by the Texas Department of Public Safety.
Great, thank you guys, thank you so much. Thanks.
Regard to the roads. There will be certain areas that will get some precipitation, and the Texas Department of Transportation is taking the lead effort at the state level to make sure that those roads will be adequately addressed.
Great, thank you guys so much.